Call Kaye on BBC Radio Scotland.
Or funny money, if you'd rather. Have you ever had Scottish banknotes knocked back in England? The London Mayor's apologised to one Scot whose cash was turned down by a bus driver. Should it be illegal to refuse Scottish money? What do you think? 0500 92 95 00. And if you want to give away your organs after death, should your loved ones be allowed to go against your wishes?
0500 92 95 00. Call Kaye now.
Who should have the last word in organ donation? Obviously, you can't fight your own corner when you're dead, but if you are a registered organ donor, is that enough to ensure your bits and pieces are used to help others? Or if your nearest and dearest are not so keen on you being cut up, should they be allowed a right of veto? That's what happens in some cases at the moment, but there's an article in the British Medical Journal urging doctors not to give in to bereaved relatives. What do you think's for the best? 0500 92 95 00 is the number to call. 80295 for your texts. And a little later in the programme, we're also going to be talking to top chef Andrew Fairley. He was going to join us in the programme yesterday, but we ran out of time. So he'll be with us today to discuss Nasty Nosh, after Americans and Australians in particular voted the UK the world's worst country for food. Fair comment? 0500 92 95 00 or text 80295 if you'd like to share your thoughts with us on that, or on organ donations, or indeed on banknotes. Has it happened to you? Have you gone to London or perhaps elsewhere in England and kicked yourself for having gone to the cash machine before leaving home when somebody, be it a taxi driver, a bus driver, or maybe somebody at the filling station has refused your cash because it's from a Scottish bank, RBS, Bank of Scotland, or as one texter was saying a wee while ago, the Clydesdale Bank, for them has caused a particular problem. What have you done about it? How have you felt if your money has been refused? 0500 92 95 00 is the number to call, 80295 for your texts. And what should we do about it? Maybe we should just give up on having Scottish banknotes. Maybe that is the way to make life a lot easier when we travel to other parts of the UK. Or if it's a tradition worth preserving, is it time to make it illegal for someone to turn down Scottish money? 0500 92 95 00. Alan Cochrane is Scottish editor at the Telegraph newspaper, and we're talking about this because you've had a bad experience recently. What happened?
Well, I'm pleased to say that I'm the one who started all of this, a good unionist who believes in the United Kingdom fighting the cause for Scottish banknotes. I mean, my wife and kids tried to pay for a bus fare in Twickenham a month ago when we were staying with our sister. And the bus driver refused to take a Scottish money. I think it was a fiver. I don't allow our tenors. I wrote to Boris, who I used to be a colleague of on the Telegraph. And lo and behold, last week I got an answer from him, and he's cracked the whip, told London Transport to sort it out, and accept Scottish notes, which is what you should be doing. And he's also today, in an article he's written for The Spectator, castigated Oxford Street stores for not taking Scottish banknotes. He says, for refusing to take banknotes from the country that produced Chris Hoy. Now, that's the real Olympic spirit.
Yeah, I mean, do you think him telling the depot responsible for sending out that particular driver not to do it again will solve the problem?
Well, Boris has a lot of influence and not a lot of power in London, but he's got an amazing amount of pizzazz and bravado. And I think if Boris can highlight this in London, then it could go a long way towards sorting this out. And I do think the Scottish banks, who sit on their hands and hide their heads on this one, should actually start some sort of educational campaign to prove to shopkeepers and publicans in London and England generally that this money is honoured. It's worth what it says on the face of the note. It's worth a tenner if it says a tenner, and they should accept it. One of the problems, Glenn, is that there are so many, or rather, there are so few native-born English people in the service industries in especially in London now.
Yeah, but this isn't a new problem. It's not.
No, but it's got a lot worse. I mean, I went to London. I worked in London for 20 years, and when I went to London in the 70s, I mean, it was bad then, but it gradually got better. But now, the service industries in London, especially, are run by newcomers to this country.
Okay, well, Steve McNamara.
Steve
McNamara is not a newcomer, but he is a London cabbie. He's on the line now. Of course, these notes aren't legal tender, not even in Scotland, as far as I understand, Steve. Morning, Steve. He's obviously not listening in.
No, he's not.
Jonathan Davis is also on the line. He's a wealth manager and economist, an exiled Scot in London. Does this happen to you, or do you just use Bank of England notes these days?
I only use Bank of England notes, and indeed, as it happens, I'm holidaying in Scotland as we speak. And I'm not joking. Just yesterday, I said to my wife, I'm loath to take Scottish banknotes back with me, so we'd better make sure we spend them all, because I don't want the hassle. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not legal tender. These people in England don't have to accept the notes. Perhaps there's an education that needs to take place, but the reality is they don't have to accept it. So therefore, why should they? Why don't the Scots just... Hold on, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Well, make your point, Jonathan.
Well, if this guy will be quiet, I'll make it.
No, I'm asking him to make it.
Well, if they don't have to take it, that's a terrible attitude to take. Scottish banknotes are part of the great diversity of the United Kingdom. I mean, I've had bankers on to me, supposed experts, saying that Bank of England notes are not even, strictly speaking, legal tender. The point is, these things have been accepted by and large for decades, for centuries, and there's a new attitude amongst people in England who are basically not familiar with these notes.
Okay, well, let me bring in...
Let's be nice about it.
Let me bring in my cabbie. Steve McNamara is with us now. I'm reliably informed. Do you take Scottish banknotes in your taxi, Steve?
Yes, I'm very happy to take Scottish banknotes. Unfortunately, the problem I have is once I take them, I can't get rid of them. No one wants to take them off of me.
Ah, right. So in passing them on in change to other taxi users?
Yeah, if I try to give a Scottish note in change to most people in London nowadays, they just look at me rather blankly. One of the points your earlier caller made is right. There are so many people in London, not an indigenous population. A Scottish note to them is akin to me trying to give them some Nepalese rupees or something.
Really? And do many of your colleagues on the cabs refuse Scottish banknotes?
Yeah, unfortunately they do. The advice that's given to us when we first get a licence from Transport for London sort of rose Scottish banknotes in with a lot of others, and they do emphasise that it's not legal tender, and they almost sort of pressurise you into not taking them. You know, if you don't take them, you can't be stuck with them. It won't be a problem.
And that's guidance, official guidance from Transport for London?
Yes, they throw Scottish banknotes in with Southern Irish notes and all sorts of stuff.
Hang on a minute, Alan Cochrane, that's your mate Boris Johnson that's responsible for that organisation. I thought he'd fixed it.
Well, you've read the letter that he wrote to me. It was published in yesterday's Daily Telegraph. I'm sure you read the Daily Telegraph. He's written to Transport for London saying, sort this out. OK, well, let's see if he does. In fact, let's try and get him on the line. Can we get a call into Boris Johnson, see if he can talk to us about the issue? And the article is written about it in The Spectator, and his letter to Alan Cochrane for that matter. 0500 92 95 00 if you'd like to share your experience on this. And what should we do about the problem? Should it be illegal to refuse Scottish banknotes, or is it time to just give up on printing them in the first place? 0500 92 95 00